Saint Augustine, commentary on the Gospel of John, chapter 12, verse 44 to 50, following. Attend to what follows. I am come a light into the world, that whosoever believes on me should not abide in darkness. He said in a certain place to his disciples, You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill can't be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, that it may give light to all that are in the house. So let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. Matthew chapter 5, verse 14 to 16. But he did not say to them, You are come a light into the world, that whosoever believe on you should not abide in darkness. Such a statement, I maintain, can nowhere be met with. All the saints therefore are lights, but they are illuminated by him through faith, and every one that becomes separated from him will be enveloped in darkness. But that light which enlightens them can't become separated from itself, for it is altogether beyond the reach of change. We believe then the light that has thus been lit, as the prophet or apostle, but we believe him for this end, that we may not believe on that which is itself enlightened, but with him, on that light which has given him light, so that we too may be enlightened, not by him, but along with him, by the same light as he. And when he says that whosoever believes on me may not abide in darkness, he makes it sufficiently manifest that all have been found by him in a state of darkness. But that they may not abide in the darkness wherein they have been found, they ought to believe on that light which has come into the world, for thereby was the world created. And if any man, he says, hear my words and keep them not, I judge him not. Remember what I know you have heard in former lessons, and if any of you have forgotten, recall it. And those of you who were absent then, but are present now, hear how it is that the Son said, I judge him not. While in another place he says, the Father judges no man, but has committed all judgment unto the Son. Chapter 5, verse 22. Namely, that thereby we are to understand, it is not now that I judge him. And why not now? Listen to the second. For I am not come, he says, to judge the world, but to save the world, that is, to bring the world into a state of salvation. Now therefore is the season of mercy. Afterwards will be the time for judgment. For he says, I will sing to you, O Lord, of mercy and judgment. Psalm 101, verse 1. But see also what he says of that future judgment in the end. He that despises me and receives not my words has one that judges him. The word that I have spoken, the same shall judge him in the last day. He says not, he that despises me and receives not my words, I judge him not at the last day. For had he said so, I do not see how it could have been else than contradictory of that other statement when he says, the Father judges no man, but has committed all judgment unto the Son. But when he said, he that despises me and receives not my words has one to judge him. And for the information of those who were waiting to hear who that one was, went on to add, the word that I have spoken, the same shall judge him in the last day. he made it sufficiently manifest that he himself would then be the judge. For it was of himself he spoke, himself he announced, and himself he set forth as the gate whereby he entered as the shepherd to his sheep. In one way, therefore, will those be judged who have never heard that word, in another way those who have heard and despised it. For as many as I have sent without law, says the apostle, shall also perish without law, and as many as have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law. Romans chapter 2 verse 12. For I have not, he says, spoken of myself. He says that he has not spoken of himself because he is not of himself. Of this we have frequently discoursed already, so that now, without any more instruction, we have simply to remind you of it as a truth with which you are familiar. But the Father who sent me, he gave me a commandment that I should say and what I should speak. We would not stay to elaborate this did we know that we were now speaking with those with whom we have spoken on former occasions, and of these not with all, but such only whose memories have retained what they heard. But because there are perhaps some now present who did not hear, and some in a similar condition who have forgotten what they heard, on their account let those who remember what they have heard bear with our delay. How give the Father commandment to his only Son? With what words does he speak to the Word, seeing that the Son himself is the only begotten Word? Could it be by an angel, seeing that by him the angels were created? Was it by means of a cloud, which, when it gave forth its sound to the sun, gave it not on his account, as he himself also tells us elsewhere, but for the sake of others who were needing to hear it? Verse 29. Could it be by any sound issuing from the lips, where bodily form was wanting, and where there is no such local distance separating the Son from the Father, as to admit of any intervening air, to give effect by its percussion to the voice and render it audible? Let us put away all such unworthy notions of that incorporeal and ineffable subsistence. The only Son is the Word and the wisdom of the Father, and therein are all the commandments of the Father. For there was no time that the Son knew not the Father's commandment, so as to make it necessary for him to possess in course of time what he possessed not before. For what he has received from the Father, he received in being born, and was given it in being begotten. For the life he is and life he certainly received in being born, while yet there was no antecedent time when life was wanting to his personal existence. For on the one hand the Father has life and is what he has, and yet he received it not because he is not of anyone, but the Father received life as the Father's gift, of whom he is. And so he himself is what he has, for he has life and is the life. Listen to himself when he says, as the Father has life in himself, so has he given to the Son to have life in himself. Chapter 5, verse 26. Could he give it to one who was in being, and yet hitherto was destitute thereof? On the contrary, in the very begetting, it was given by him who begot the life, and so life begot the life. And to show that he begot the life equal and not inferior to himself, it was said, as he has life in himself, so has he also given to the Son to have life in himself. He gave life, for in begetting the life, what was it he gave it, save to be the life? And as his nativity is itself eternal, there never was a time without that Son who is the life, and never was there a time when the Son himself was without the life. And as his nativity is eternal, so he who was thus born is eternal life. And so the Father gave not to the Son a commandment which he had not already. But as I said, in the wisdom of the Father, that is, in the word of the Father, are laid upon the Father's commandments. And yet the commandment is said to have been given him, because he, to whom it is thus given, is not of himself, and to give that to the Son which he never was without is the same in meaning as to beget that Son who never was without existence.